The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.
Welcome to the Dublin Racing Festival preview on the Final Furlong podcast. Hopefully a boatload of winners, maybe just a load of Willie Mullins bingo. We've got some people who are in red hot form, particularly first up, a man who put up a 66-1 shot confidently on this show last week. The horse had the race won, only to crumble at the last. But no matter, he bounced back with a 40-1 winner, a 22-1 winner, and another winner today. Follow him on X for more, at Peter Michael Racing in sensational form. George Gorman, a man who's in red hot form, and his audio is actually working on today's podcast. You can follow George on X right now as well, at George Gorman. And Andy Newton is plus 20 points for his lays. You can get those on X at Newt's Daily Lays. Three men in red hot form previewing all the big races at the Dublin Racing Festival, beginning with Nathaniel Lacy and Partners Novices Hurdle. It's a grade one. It's been won quite a bit by the Mullins camp. He's won this 9 times since 2012, but only one of his winners has gone on to score at the Cheltenham Festival. That was Let's Dance in the 2017 Dawn Run Novices Hurdle. They've got the favourite in Final Demand at 13-8. Very impressive winner on his debut at Limerick. They've got the second favourite in Super Sunday, who Patrick Mullins will ride after he rode him in the Supreme Novice Hurdle on debut for the Yard. They've got Sounds Victorious, who is fourth in the Champion Bumper, comes into this after a win in a Novice Hurdle. And they've got the Champion Bumper winner, Jasmine DeVoe, who wears first-time cheek pieces and gets JJ Slevin for the first time, but was massively disappointing last time out. 15-2. Can the jumping improve? Peter Michael, who is going to win the opening grade one of the DRF?
Well, it's we're going into this festival. It's a little bit harder as a form student to try and, study it. Because for one half of Leopardstown, well, 2 of the 4 days, a lot of the races we could see very little because of the fog. And as well as that, a lot of the Willie Mullins horses were running very poorly. Some did win and some just totally bombed out. So it kind of puts... it makes it hard to kind of make heads and tails of everything, but obviously we have to give it a go. So it's a bit more tricky this year, I think. But then again, Mullins is now in full form and flying, so he's probably going to totally dominate. But I said that about him in Leopardstown, and he certainly didn't dominate there. So, look, I don't know, to be honest. We know very little about these horses over hurdles. We're going to learn. I think this festival is going to prove it's going to make a big difference to every racing fan and every racing punter going into Cheltenham, more so than normal. I know every year it does, but we're going to learn a lot more this year about horses that we don't know that much about and how they've progressed. I'm going to put up the Townend and Mullins horse just because I think Willie's going to really, really do well. And this horse is mightily impressive last time. Now he takes a big step up to grade one. But he looked a serious animal at Limerick over Christmas. How good he is, nobody knows. I don't know. I don't think they know. I don't think any of us here knows. But the potential is there. He's 7-4 of the best odds I can see. Short enough, given all these unknowns. But the fact that Townend has chosen him over the 5 horses or whatever it is Mullins has, will be good enough for me. So I think he's the one to beat. Out of the others, I think I'm Lorenzo at a big price might sneak into a place. He'll relish this extra 2 furlongs. He probably won't be good enough to win it, but he could sneak into a place around 16-20-1.
Yeah, Willie's last 2 winners of this race came for Danny Mullins at big prices, so don't be afraid to go.
Yeah, Dancing City one of them.
Yeah, he was.
I fancied him that day. Yeah,
so did I. We put him up on the podcast last year. I couldn't believe the price he went off. Thanks very much.
I couldn't believe it. I was really sweeting. Yeah. So it just shows you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Danny Mullins. Overall, the point I'm going to make is, if you want to, I've seen somebody going 50-1 about Joystick. I think that's a bit, and I'm not a massive Joystick fan, but I'd give a chance to everything in this race. And I wouldn't be stunned if Danny Mullins pulled it out of the fire again. He's won 2 of the last 3 runnings of this race. Look, Final Demand's very interesting, George. He was really, really good at Limerick. Did jump out to his right a little bit, but there was big talk about him from the point-to-point circuit. There's a lot of talk about him coming from the Mullins circuit now. If you believe the hype, he can't get beat. Do you believe the hype?
I think he'll be a very nice horse for sure. I'd just be a little concerned. Like, there's 2 ways to look at it. Like, he was very forward into all of his hurdles the last day. Like, he sort of accelerated in. He made ground. Like, no matter, like they were sort of trying to anchor him, and he was just making ground at every hurdle. You can see that, like, great, like this time round, going grade 1 gallop, he'll be able to cope with it. Or you could think stepping up in trip, it might not be ideal to be constantly going forward. I think he's the best horse in the race. At 7-4, he probably is a price, but there's just that slight niggle with me that somehow he doesn't stay, or he does a bit too much. There's plenty of horses with ability in here that could give him something to think about. I'd say similar for Super Sunday. He was keen enough early the last day. He gets a hood here. But, you can say he's keen because it was bad ground the last day. But I just take them on with a couple of like each way horses here. I haven't quite settled on one of them, but thought Mozzie's Sister has decent graded form. Like finished third at Navan behind the Yellow Clay. That was over 2-4. Finished second in a grade 2 last day at Limerick behind the Big Westerner. If that's around about a similar performance, I wouldn't say it was quite an improvement, but at least we know this horse definitely stays. It's going to be receiving the mayor's allowance. I think at 12-1, that's as solid as you can get. And the other one's a bit more of a swing that I saw is Pray Tell. Actually, was very impressive in a grade 3 Cork Novice Hurdle the last day. Over 3 mile on soft ground, beat a horse called Manila 6-0 by 2.5 lengths. Like my thinking with this is they're two horses that are definitely going to get the trip, and I'm not sure the front two in the betting, they might, but they're not guaranteed to. And I just think at the prices, I'm probably going to take a swing on one of these two, but I haven't quite landed on one yet.
I thought Wingman was interesting at a price, but the more I looked at it, the more I started to think maybe Super Sunday is the way to go. Then I was noticing the first time Tongue Tie, and I'm not in love with that. And I almost talked myself into backing the Champion Bumper winner, Andy. He jumped appallingly the last day, but actually you watch the race back, he makes a couple of bad mistakes here and there, but I don't think the jumping is what got him beat. I think he's just one of those Mullins horses who didn't really fire. And I find it very, very interesting that he gets cheek pieces and is thrown into this race when they specifically said no DRF for him, and yet here he is.
Yeah, I think the sort of worry with Jasmine is the comment that Anthony Bromley made about all of their Dublin Racing Festival horses this week, and I think he came out with something like, it's been hard to place. It's one of the Mullins extras or something. He said, big ask, not being the slickest of jumpers, and those sort of comments all coupled together added to the pieces. Alarm bells sort of go a little bit for that one personally. So, Super Sunday again, like you say, that's got the tongue tie on as well for the first time. Only one win in 5, so that alarm bells a little bit there. Like George said, they've definitely got the form to sort of mix it up with Final Demand. But it's just sort of two ways of looking at Final Demand. It's the least exposed in the race, so has it got the more improvement to come? But is that lack of experience at a meeting like this going to be, is it going to be up to it after just sort of said 2 runs, 1 in a point? But I think it will stay personally. I think it wasn't stopping over 2.5, and the form of that Limerick race has been super duper frank, isn't it? The second Timmy's Tuesday won at Ayr this week, I think.
Third Will the Wise has come out and won as well.
This week or last week, I can't remember. The third's come out and won. Will the Wires. Even the fourth is okay in a flat race. I think there are lots to cling to with the form. So that one, I think 7-4. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes off a bit shorter than that. I know was it Predators Gold that was the favourite last year? They got bombed out, and we haven't had a winning favourite in the last 2. But I think that everyone's going to get excited first race. Blah blah blah. 7-4. And like George said, I think if you were looking for one at a slightly bigger price, Mozzie's Sister, I think that's quite solid and probably needs to improve her jumping a bit, but get £7 being there. Declan Quealy actually decent strike rate here, 3 from 6 with his hurdlers as well. So at a price, Mozzie's Sister, but I think we could be Mullins rolling on the first one here. And I was looking at some of his specials, how many is he going to get? Last year he had all 8, didn't he? The grade 1s.
Yeah.
So what price he's 7-2 to do that again? Is that short, do you think, lads, or do you think that's about right?
I think that's short. Peter?
I tell you, I'd be surprised if he doesn't. I'd say he won't be a million miles away from it. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind a bit of that 7-2.
Okay.
It's small money. Nothing major, just a bit of interest.
There's a Tony Keenan stat that would worry me.
What is it? I didn't see it.
He said that Mullins has got something like a 32% strike rate with these horses making their debut for the stable or else their seasonal debut. But only a 16% strike rate with their horses having their second run for the season. So they're good to go first time up. They're not backing it up. Maybe that's going to change. Maybe it's going to change. But
yeah, I suspect that will change.
I suppose on a plus, it did win. It won over Christmas, didn't it? This horse, this Fine Demand, when everyone knows the Mullins horses weren't particularly going great.
Well, that's what's confusing though. Imperi Pass also won, and Galopin won, and I don't know. It's a bit of a mess. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go with Super Sunday. I don't think Super Sunday needs to improve a whole lot. Fascinating that they gave him his debut in the Supreme Novice Hurdle. Slight concern that he's wearing the tongue tie, especially when he already has the hood on. But 5-1 with Jeff Banks bet. I'm gonna chance him each way. Maybe I'll have another bump on the head and back Jasmine DeVoe, but right now it's Super Sunday for me. And if Wingman goes and wins the race, I might go and cry, seeing as he was one of my horses to follow at the beginning of the season. But for now, we shall move on to the Juvenile Hurdle, and a race that has been a massive indicator for the Cheltenham Festival. 8 horses have won the Triumph Hurdle on the back of running in this race. 5 of them were beaten. So defeat does not preclude one from victory. Just ask Tiger Roll, Ivanovic Gorbatov, Farkla, Lossiemouth and Majborough last season. Jeff Banks is going 15-8 about Hello Neighbour to go back-to-back over course and distance to get his second win over hurdles for the Gavin Cromwell team. Couldn't tell you what Lady Vega Allen did that day, but she was poorly positioned and somehow forced a photo finish. That was a massive run. Paul Townend does not ride her, though. She's a 4-1 third favourite. He's chosen a St. Lucie, who's 2-1. Last year, Stormheart won the same race that she made her debut in. Stormheart ended up being second in this race before disappointing in the Triumph. And it's double-figure prices about whoever else you want. Peter Michael, who do you like in a fascinating Juvenile Hurdle? Who's going to advance their claims for Cheltenham?
Well, you were saying there Townend's riding St. Lucie instead of Lady Vega Allen, which is very interesting because, Hello Neighbour obviously is the favourite and sets the standard. And Lady Vega Allen was a fast finishing second to him. Again, that was a day we really couldn't see we didn't see the whole race because of the fog, and there was a crucial part of that race we couldn't see for about 2 furlongs or so, and we don't really know what happened in that space that we couldn't see. But all of a sudden, Lady Vega Allen was the one chasing down Hello Neighbour from, as you said, not being in a great position. Hello Neighbour, I think you said it when we were previewing the Christmas racing, was, there was a lot of talk about him, and he didn't jump great. Now, I know it was his first run over hurdles, so, you have to forgive him, but he definitely has room for improvement with that. So I think, obviously, with him not jumping great and still winning a grade 2 first time over hurdles, it speaks a lot about him. So he's obviously a very, very classy animal. Lady Vega Allen's actually a pound worse off. I don't know why. Maybe somebody can tell us. She's a pound worse off against Hello Neighbour. Looking at the run, the way the Mullins horses, again, as we said, some were fine, some weren't. You would nearly fancy Lady Vega Allen to reverse that with Hello Neighbour. But then again, the other side of that is Hello Neighbour didn't jump. I'm sure he can jump a lot better. Otherwise, Gavin wouldn't have pitched him into a grade 2 first time out. So I really don't know what to make of those two. I know there's not going to be much between them again. But I think the fact that Townend's gone for St. Lucie or St. Lucie, whatever it is, I think that's possibly significant. So I'm probably going to put that forward instead of Lady Vega Allen to turn over Hello Neighbour. I would like to see Hello Neighbour win for Gavin, but I think Mullins might have a second winner. Of the outsiders, let's not rule out anything Joseph O'Brien runs, as we learned in Christmas.
Yeah.
Whatever he does down there works. And Wendrock might outrun his odds as well. They have formed together. But yeah, St. Lucie for me.
Yeah, it's the weight for age allowance just changes when they go from 3 to 4. It was the same for Cargisi.
Oh, is that it? So it's just a pound.
Was a pound overweight the last day as well, which will have an impact on it.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, Keith had one too many mince pies.
Yeah.
But look, he's a brilliant jockey, and I was saying in the Christmas preview, like all I'd been hearing for weeks was hello neighbor, and I thought, oh, people are being very polite. No, they were telling me this Gavin Cromwell horse is meant to be a machine, and they were saying to back him for the Triumph Hurdle. I don't know if he's going to turn out to be that good, but look, the thought process was he was going for a juvenile hurdle, as in maiden hurdle, and then he's pitched him into the Grade 2 and he's gone and won it. I do fancy Lady Vega Allen just from a price perspective, because Carghese took the step forward last year. Gala Marceau got very, very lucky considering what happened to poor old Lossiemouth that day, but she also stepped forward from that run to be able to go and win this, and it's just a tried and tested route for him. So I'm going to go with Lady Vega Allen. George, what's your thought process on the juvenile hurdles? You'd know Lady Vega Allen's family pretty well, seeing as you've been working with Guivega an awful lot of carries.
Guivega, yeah. He's actually, Guivega's now up on the British point-to-point scene. He won an Open at Lark Hill by, I think, about
good man
15 lengths from My Drogo. The English point-to-pointing is not too bad. Like,
My Drogo still knocking around.
My Drogo is still going. Yeah, we had All Mankind won an Open at Horseheath a few weeks ago.
Class.
We've got all the names this year. We've got all the names. Unfortunately, my horse is going to have to take them all on, but we'll see how we go.
You'll crush him.
Yeah, exactly. All Mankind wouldn't stay anyway. I'm really pleased, to be honest. Like say you said on the last podcast, I think two people can see the same race and have a different opinion. I really liked Hello Neighbour last day. I thought his jumping was fine, given the gallop he was going and the fact he wasn't settling. I thought he was very clever. For a horse with zero hurdling experience to go as quick as he did, I don't think he made any serious errors, really. He fiddled away a couple of times and maybe lost a length or two. But I'm almost disappointed they've put the hood on him here. I'd like to see him do the same thing again, just because if he went the gallop he went the last day, he could get most of these off the bridle very early. I think he's got a hell of an engine, and I'm not sure St. Lucie would have the tactical speed if he did do that. But I think he's most likely winner. He's going to be my bet. I'd say I was as impressed by him the last day. Anything I've seen first time over hurdles this year, he made a big impression on me. And I might even have a small bet on him for the Triumph beforehand. Especially he's gone out to 9-4. There's obviously a lot of support for St. Lucie. But the other one you mentioned as well was the Joseph O'Brien horse, Galileo Dame. She similarly went a really good gallop on debut, but backed off every single hurdle. She was dying for a lead, but was going too quick for anything to lead her.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping here, if Hello Neighbour did go forward again or something else went forward, she must have given away 20 lengths throughout by backing off those each hurdle, and still, only got beat by Wendrock, who had already had a run over hurdles. I think she rated 98, I think, on the flat. I think 20-1's a bit of an insult. I'd be surprised if she wasn't in the 3, as long as she can get a lead and goes forwards into her hurdles.
Okay. Andy Newton, how do you see the juvenile hurdle going?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing to say, really, like you say, I mean, it's been a great guide for the Triumph Hurdle. Whichever sort of camp you're coming down on, whether it's Lady Vega, St. Lucie, or Hello Neighbour, it's probably, like George said, really, is to have a little dabble, Triumph anti-post market, before this race. They're all around 8s, 10s, I think, against the two, UK big guns in there. So, it's hard to tell, really. I mean, if one of them absolutely dots up, then that 10-1's going to go. But you can make cases for all 3. Obviously, Hello Neighbour. I don't know. I just think that, like you said, Emmet, I think the value has got to be with Lady Vega Allen. Another couple of strides, it would definitely have won. And it's just whether Hello Neighbour can improve on that, jump better, and so on for the hood. The slight other thing, the Gavin Cromwell camp at the moment, 6 winners from their last 47. It's nothing too alarming, but it's not great. It's not compared to the Mullins 33% or whatever it is.
Yeah, 15 from 47.
Yeah, exactly. So I know. I just think, really, I think St. Lucie will be the play for me. I don't know. I think Peter put that one up as well. I just think the form as well. That Lucas Tipple, who was about 11 lengths behind it, wasn't it? Punchestown, that's come out and run okay. Hasn't won, but it ran second at Cork. So, I think that's fairly frank the form. Obviously, gets the mare's allowance off the Labour as well. And, Mullins loves winning this with a mare, doesn't he? So, St. Lucie for me. But it is one of the races that you can take all three of them. I'm amazed if anything else wins it, let's be honest, apart from the three.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just hope Sean will keep us a little bit more active on Lady Vega Allen this time. I completely understand what he was doing the last day. You're trying to educate the horse. It's only her second ever lifetime start and her first start for the stable, for that matter, as well. But given the ground she's made up in the fog, I thought it was a really impressive performance. So I'm hoping she's going to be able to run a real big race at the weekend. If you fancy a horse for the Triumph Hurdle now, if you think that George Gorman is right and Hello Neighbour is the one who's going to advance his claims and be significantly shorter than the 6-1 that Jeff Banks is currently going, you can take full advantage of that price right this second on the Jeff Banks website. If it would actually just stay on the screen and not crash on me. This is the great thing about as live broadcasts. Just as you're doing it, the whole thing goes and spectacularly crashes right in front of you. To really make things grand and easy for us. Let's try again, shall we? 6-1 about Hello Neighbour.
What?
Yes?
Is it there? I'm just trying to see if it's there. No, I was just going to say, because last week we were talking about East India Dock, weren't we? And that was before that one last week at Cheltenham. What was it? We can't remember now. Was it 7s or 8s?
I think he was 5s.
We did say, didn't we?
I think he was 5s.
Was it 5s? I wasn't as big as that.
So maybe he was shorter than that. Maybe he was. You could be right. I thought he was 5s. 3-1 about East India Dock, who arguably should be favoured. He's clear on time form, and he's the highest rated. George Gorman, cover your ears for a second. He's the highest rated runner for the Triumph Hurdle since Goshen going into the race. Who had it won? Oh no. Hello Neighbour, 6-1. That'll be gone if he goes and wins. But I could say the exact same thing about St. Lucie, who's 8, and obviously Lady Vega Allen as well. Choose your bets with Jeff Banks Bet right now. FFP 500 for the promo code. That makes you eligible to get 10% of your net losses back after your first month of betting, up to £500. Plus, there's loads of incentives, best odds guaranteed, money back specials, and of course, you can watch British and Irish racing on the Jeff Banks app and the Jeff Banks website. JeffBanks.bet. Use your promo code FFP 500. Get set for the Cheltenham Festival and hopefully get some gravy for the weekend's racing as well. We will move on to the Ladbrokes Novice Chase. Ladbrokes Novice Chase is on the Sunday, where we're going to be talking about the chances of Ballyburn and a few of the others. So let's try a copy and paste and hope that it works. Hey, it does. Irish Arkle, Majborough, 2's on. Il Atlantique 7-2, Touch Me Not 8s, Firefox 10s, 33-1 and 50-1 about the outsiders of the field. We're on to the Irish Arkle. Peter, Michael, does Majborough deserve to be this short a price with Jeff Banks?
It's tight. I mean, I can see best odds here 4-6. It just comes up on my on where I'm looking. Look, he's the one to beat. He was super impressive first time out. He kind of jumped a little bit to his left and maybe hung a little bit to his left as well. I'm not sure if he's done that before, but obviously there'll be no issue around Leopardstown. But yeah, look, the price is tight for a horse only having a second run over fences. So, you know, there's value in Il Atlantique, you could argue. It's hard to see anything else winning it again, unfortunately. It looks like probably another Mullins winner. But yeah, look, I couldn't put anything against Margeborough. I'd have to put him up as a most likely winner. Would I be backing him at 1-2? No, I wouldn't. I might put him in one of these muggy doubles or trebles or whatever that we never land, but it doesn't stop us from doing it. Doesn't land. We always still do it. But there'll be always one to let you down. Yeah, no, look, he's by far and away the most likely winner. He was extremely impressive, and he is chaser written all over him. Yeah, I think he'll win. I won't be won't be backing him at 1-2, but I'd put him. I'd put a few Mullinses together. I haven't made up my mind which ones yet, but yeah, look, I was really impressed with what he did after the last at Ferry House and the way he quickened away, and I think he'll have too much gears for them. But the price is tight.
Yeah. Look, they're obviously talking him up, George, and I get it. Willie Mullins has got a great record in this race. He's won it 7 times in the last 10 years, 4 times with horses who went on to do the Arkle double at the Cheltenham Festival. First and second favourites here, so he's got a massive chance of doing it. But Majborough beat Tully Hill, an Asian master. Il Atlantique beat Firefox. And if you're a regular listener to this show, you will know I am firmly of the opinion that Il Atlantique is a softie. A big old softie. The second he's in a fight, he will melt. And he will not come up the hill at Cheltenham because he's a coastal path. And unless you're Favois or Saint-Ouen, who both won county hurdles, forget about it. But he'll win this. He will win this. And the 7-2 with Jeff Banks is a punish him job. Punish him! This fella's a chaser, and this is crazy. Il Atlantique beat Firefox. Majborough beat Tully Hill. I'll take the Firefox form. Thanks very much, George.
Yeah, and it should be said as well, Majborough was receiving weight the last day. He's receiving £2 here from these, but he's receiving much less weight. He's obviously turned 5 since he last ran. And you got the horse that finished second and third to him the last day went and finished second and third by about the same distance to Mr. Gift next time out.
Yeah.
Who obviously wasn't receiving weight from them. But I just couldn't be taking 4 to 6 about a 5-year-old running for the first time without an allowance. He might well be the best horse in this race in time. He might well be the best horse in this race now. 4 to 6 is just too short for me. When they were a bit closer together in the betting, I think he was 7-4 before Atlantique. He's gone out, and I was half going, well, I can't trust him at that price, and he's a bit more tempting at 10-3. I've got to say, he's a bit more tempting there, but
even better at 7-2.
Yeah, see him do it in a Grade 1. Got to see him in a proper fight. Knuckle down and do it. He has beaten Firefox the last day, but I'm probably going to leave this race. But if I was going to play it, I wish there were a couple more runners. I should have done it anti-post, but they were only offering 2 places anti-post as well. I think Touch Me Not isn't that far off this level. He was, despite the massive error he made at Sandown the last day, he actually registered a slight improvement on RPRs despite that. If he can get in a rhythm here, he might be able to get a soft horse like Il Atlantique at it. He might go a pace Majborough's not gone before. If he can beat one of these, you'll get your place money at 11-1. I think a small bet on him each way at 11s might be the way to play this for me, but very, very small.
Yeah, I don't understand the betting. RPR is Il Atlantique 161, Majborough 155. Time form, Majborough 161p, Il Atlantique 164p. And he's got more experience over fences.
Touch Me Not.
Time form for Touch Me Not is 157 flat. Firefox 158. Pro form. What do our friends at Pro Form? Now, Pro Form is a brilliant website. You got it. Proformracing.com. I'm going to do me a courtesy and allow me to share with the listeners this data, please. Thank you, Proform. I'd much appreciate it. Il Atlantique, top rated, 364 with all of the data and everything combined. Majborough 181 rating for the race. It's a price thing. And even their forecast price, the Proform forecast price for Il Atlantique is 2-1. We're getting 130. I do not like Il Atlantique, but I'm backing him for this race, for sure. Andy.
Majborough wins, boys. All right, let's just all settle down, okay? We're carried away here, aren't we? This is going to be the first leg of the big old Mullins bankers going in. And yeah, I mean, it's only had 4 runs, right? They're taking time. Their time with it. There's plenty more to come. I mean, last time it looked like, Tully Hill was going to, have a race with it, and then it just sort of powered on, jumped well that day. The interesting thing will be who actually leads probably here, because they both tend to like front, don't they? So is that going to benefit one over the other? I don't know. Like you said, Atlantique isn't the most resolute in a finish. So, in a little battle.
I'd imagine that probably Touch Me Not might make this, and
I think
that's
he'll
what I'd
make
imagine.
100%.
Yeah, try, because he's a good jumper. Try and put them under pressure from the off. That's what I would do if I were them.
His top speed figure's on a different planet to the rest of these as well.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd say that.
It could. I mean, you've got potentially three front runners in there. I mean, obviously, if Touch Me Not runs well, that's going to be a boost for Loaded Sud, the Skelton horse, who came second to at Sandown in that Henry, the 8th novice chase. So we'll see how that gets on. But look, the other reason I'm not backing Atlantique is that Tony Bloom, Brighton. I can't back. I'm a Palace fan, right? I can't back a Tony Bloom horse, right? Okay, we hate Brighton, and that's it. Bang. I'm not having it. Okay. All right.
The M23 Derby.
Good to see sound logic is being used here on the Final Furlong podcast to determine whether or not a racehorse can win.
That aside, look, this match for win. This is the first leg of the old Ackers going in. All right, for everyone. I
don't know. Look, maybe he does go and win. And good luck to you if you're getting involved. I just think there's an awful lot of an assumption that this horse is as good as Sergino. Sergino didn't run in the Triumph Hurdle. There's just this blind assumption that, Mashburn is incredible. He won the Triumph Hurdle. Yeah, Sergino would have won it, I think. So, anyway, it'd be
interesting to see what the prices do afterwards. I mean, Mashburn's I think it's about 7-2, 3-1 for the Arkle, and based on what you're saying there, you probably think that's a bit short already. I mean, look, I love Sergino. I think Sergino will beat it at Cheltenham, but it comes down to if it does impress here. We'll see.
Andy, I cannot believe I'm tipping Il Atlantique for a Grade 1. But that's the way it is.
Good look at yourself in the mirror.
That's the way things are. I keep looking at those prices and I keep going, this fella's too big. But I genuinely cannot believe that I am tipping Il Atlantique to win a Grade 1. But that's the state of play. That's the current reality. That's the timeline we're currently in. And Il Atlantique will win this race.
But you're right, though. He's too big a price now. He's too big a price.
Bonkers. Sure. If he goes 2-1, then we're having a different conversation. But 7-2 with Jeff Banks' bet.
It is the value, but I don't know. Is it that price for a reason?
7-2 in a 2-runner race. All due respect to the Gordon Elliott horse. It's a 2-runner race.
That's what I say. When he was shorter, I was just looking at it like I can't back a 5-year-old to win a grade 1 novice chase. I can't back Atlantique to win a grade 1 novice chase at their prices. It's just why I ended up on the third horse.
And last 5-year-olds to win this race?
Now a backable price.
Last 5-year-olds to win this race?
Emmet, do you have the stats?
25 years ago.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
How many have tried though?
Don't know. I wasn't going through 25 runnings of the Irish Arkle to discover how many 5-year-olds rocked up, but it's 25 years since the last one. Okay, Irish Gold Cup, Galopin des Champs, GDC, back in the winner's enclosure, and he is 7-4 on to win his third Irish Gold Cup and a fourth win in this race for Willie Mullins Bingo, a fifth win in it since 2019. Paul Town and Galopin des Champs going for the third consecutive Irish Gold Cup. They are odds on, 7-4 on to do so. Factophile 7-2 about FTF. Then it's Monty Star of 8-1. Embassy Gardens 10s after his New Year's Day comeback. And it's 20-1 about the rest of them. Peter Michael, is this just a coronation ceremony for Galopin des Champs? Or can Factophile get closer?
Yeah. No. He might get closer, but he's not going to beat him if he runs his race. Christmas, when we did the show, we all couldn't believe that I think Galopin des Champs was around 2-1.
He was 2-1 with Jeff, yeah.
Yeah, and we all said that was a serious price, and I didn't have a bet, and I was planning to, but then the form of the Mullins horses, I just said I'd leave the race alone, and yeah, he ended up 5-6. So yeah, look, he's going. I mean, if everything runs a race and everything completes, he wins, and Factophile comes second. So, I mean, I like Monty Star. I'm a big fan of that horse. I think the best is still to come from him, but Henrys are not running well. There's a lot, He's had one or two run okay recently in a few seconds and nice prices, but a lot of them are underperforming. It's only a matter of time, for that to turn around. But Gallop in the Champs. I mean, he's a superstar, and we're lucky to have him in our lifetime. And I can't see him losing. And I think, to be honest, the best way to play this for a bit of value might be the forecast. I don't know what it would pay, but it could pay around 9-4, 5-2. And in my mind, if they both complete, that's exactly what it's going to finish. And I see no reason for them why not to complete. So I'm going to put up a forecast in this Gallop in the Champs to beat Factifal. Boring, I know, but maybe we could turn the 4-7 winner into a 9-4 winner.
It'd be pretty surprising if they're not first and second, in fairness. George Gorman,
I think they're different leagues to everything else.
That's the thing. They are just in a different league to everything else. And here's the thing. When it was Christmas and you were getting 2-1 about Gallop on the Champ, he was the obvious bet. Well, now we're getting 7-2 about Factifile. So this is where I reveal my Factifile jumper. I'm switching teams. 7-2 is too big. Mark Walsh, please, Mark, for the purposes of the scumbag each way lucky 31 bet that will be done, and I will happily cheer on Gallop on the Champ and switch scarfs halfway through. Go, I was always in Team Gallopon. Take him on. Take him on.
How's he going to take him on early to turn the form around?
Take him on early. Don't do what you did. I understand why you did what you did at Christmas time. You were riding Factifile for the greater speed, and you were going to do him late on. That didn't work.
It's going to make no difference, then. It's going to make no
you got to try something. You can't just let Townend. You cannot let Townend just dictate things and then get the rail.
No, I agree.
JJ let him do it on Fast or Slow the year before as well. Take him on.
When you're too good, you're too good. He's just too good.
I'll tell you what that does tell you as well. If you go at him and go from the front on Factifile and you patently don't get home, makes your decision whether you're going Gold Cup or Ryanair as well.
Yes, George Gorman. Yes.
If you go forward and still hit the line, then you're like, well, actually, it might be worth a pop at him over 3 Mile 2 at Cheltenham. If you take him on and don't stay, then you have to go Ryanair.
Yeah.
You've been beat by him twice. You know you're probably not going to get further. It sort of makes your decision for you, win, lose or draw, doesn't it?
Well, even if you do get further, George, if you can't beat Gallop on the Champ over 3 miles at Leopardstown, there's not a hope in hell of you beating him over 3 miles, 1.5 at Cheltenham on the new course. No way. So this is it. You got to take him on early.
Do you think Factifile has more speed than Gallop on the Champ?
Yeah. I think he might have too much speed. There's a part of me that actually thinks... I think
he has a higher cruising speed.
There's a part of me...
a higher top speed.
There's a part of me that thinks that he's really more of an intermediate horse and that he did real well to win the Brown Advisory last year.
It wasn't a great Brown Advisory either, was it?
No.
Personally.
It wasn't a bad Brown Advisory.
Much depth to it. It wasn't much depth to it, so that, I don't know.
Did he win it because he stayed? Did he really stay, or is it just that he was the classiest horse in the race and 3 miles on the old course where the emphasis is speed is easier to get? Whereas if that race was run on the new course, Monty Starr might have beaten him. Cue the comment section blowing up, going, "This guy's a clown! This guy doesn't know what he's talking about! This is idiotic! Why are you now saying he can beat Gallop on the Champs over 3 miles?" Because it's the price. It's the price. You're getting 7-2 about a horse who was sent off 7-4 at Christmas, and a lot of Willie's horses didn't perform. So maybe Factifile was one of those horses. And if Mark is more aggressive this time, which I think he will be, by the sounds of things, from what I've heard, this is it. Like, they need to find out which race are we going for at Cheltenham. And I think if you're going to go into this race with that attitude, then you have to do something different, which means you're going to be more aggressive. This is going to be a cracking race.
Yeah. I mean, 7-2 for the Ryanair Factifile, and personally, I think after Saturday, that is where it's going to end up. I think Gallop in the Champ's going to be here again. I mean, yeah, like you boys have said, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how they run Factifile now, whether they try and take it on, but then it needs to settle better probably, and is it going to get home doing that? It's like either way you look at it, there's slight sort of chinks in it. If it does try and take it on, is it going to get home? If it again like it did last time, is it just letting Gallop in do what it does best from the front? So it's a tricky one for Mark Walsh personally. But yeah, 7-2 for the Ryanair, which, I mean, you look at the Ryanair post betting. I mean, that race is going to seriously cut up as well. I mean, there's horses in there that just not going to run. I mean, I think he said Grey Dawning's not going there now. That one's been taken out. There's loads of others in there that just are not going to run in the Ryanair. So it might weirdly even get shorter in the Ryanair, even if it loses on Saturday, 7-2, because people then know exactly where it's going. Unless it gets bombed out of sight and comes third, fourth, or fifth, and blah blah. But if it comes second, even 4, 5, 6 lengths to galloping, you could probably, and they go right Ryanair. You could see that being 5-2, 2-1 for the Ryanair.
And if he's a 10 lengths second in the Irish Gold Cup, he's favourite for the Ryanair chase immediately.
Yeah. Boy, he's
how much shorter is he than the 7-2 currently available? I don't know. But here's the other thing I'll say before we, and I want to get your selection for the race as well, Andy, please, before we go to George. He's 4-1 for the Gold Cup. He's 7-2 for Saturday. He doesn't have to find that much. And this is a winnable race. Gallop on the Champ aside. GDC is one of the GOATs. I love him. But he's 4-1 for the Gold Cup fact to file, and you can get 7-2 with Jeff Banks bet for this Saturday. This is where you got to be just a little bit brave. Cheer on Gallop on the Champ if he goes and wins. I love that horse. I absolutely love him. But 7-2 fact to file, a horse of that talent, that's too big a price. I'll take that. Thank you. Andy, your selection?
Galloping. Look, never lost at Leopardstown over fences, and it won't again. This is, its year to be cemented in the all-time greats, isn't it? He'll win Irish Gold Cups and hopefully 3 Cheltenham Gold Cups as well, and that'll be legendary status. At the moment, it's almost there, 75%, I'd say. Big year for it.
Yeah, ideally, Fact to File wins this weekend, and then Gallop on the Champ bolts up in the Gold Cup and wins his 3rd Gold Cup in the 100th running of the race and becomes the 5th horse to win 3 Gold Cups. George, your pick for the Irish Gold Cup?
It's going to be Galopin Des Champs. Like he's miles clear of these on ratings. He's at his best at Leopardstown. I can't see how Fact to File is going to turn the form with him. Like you said, Fact to File for the Ryanair before the race might be the bet. But I think at 4-7, if you're inclined, I think he probably should be shorter, Galopin Des Champs. I did try and look around for an each-way bet. My first sort of port of call was the Tremor form, because at least it's horses that he's not beaten before, but Monty Star sort of has been beaten by him collaterally through other horses. And the Bromhead's a bang out of form at the minute. Yeah. Embassy Gardens, I fancy if there was a load of rain, like to run into the places, but there's not. Also, I did actually think place only, I'm going to stress, if it keeps drying out, Hewitt has a 170 performance in him, and it is going to be near enough his ground. He's not sure Leopardstown's 100% his track, but you get a decent price, place only about him. And you look beyond Galopin, like this is a horse race where one horse is guaranteed to beat the 2. But beyond that, they're all much of a muchness in behind. Like a lot of these horses are thinking about their national marks and things like that. Hewitt could well run into 3rd here. Just thinking you've got the weaknesses about those 2 other horses. And beyond that, I think all of them are looking at their national or country marks. And I'll be continuing to watch Grange Clare West with much interest because he's being brought along very slowly.
What about Conflated, George?
Well, he's going to be looking to get him off for cross country, isn't he?
Yeah, that's all he's there for.
But you can say the same about Maximus. I know the way you're thinking. They're thinking about their Grand National marks. Manila Kakuna would have to start now. But
that's harsh. I just think he needs. I think he needs better ground.
I'm not saying he's a bad horse, but he's not got a hope in hell of finishing in the 3 here.
Oh, I very nearly talked myself into putting him up at 100-1. But the more I looked at it, the more I feel like his form is better on a sounder surface.
But so I wouldn't give him a chance here, but there's something. Grange Clare West, don't forget, has bags of ability, and he's obviously had an injury. Yeah. They're bringing him along real slowly. There's something, if it's the Grand National, maybe for him, but 158 could look a very, very lowly mark come the Grand National. Like, he's one for the tracker, and just make sure you watch him when he runs. Keep an eye on what he's doing, because he's got bags of ability.
He could be one for the TriCast.
Whichever way you do it. Races where you wouldn't be surprised. You wouldn't be surprised if a big race, would you? You know, because there's no depth to it at all, and if look, inflated even. I mean, you know, Grange West. You know, you wouldn't be surprised.
George is right about conflated. Like, we know where he's going. I'd be pretty certain that's the same thing for I Am Maximus, and I know the way you're thinking with a view to Aintree.
I think it'd be the same for Grange Clare West as well. Even if he was able, even if he was fit enough, he wouldn't want to finish anywhere near these on this occasion. Whereas I think Hewitt's the one with the least to lose by finishing third.
Yeah,
the way I'm seeing it, and it could end up being his ground.
Yeah.
Well, then in that case,
price is at 33.
Yeah, 33 is with Jeff. Yeah. So in that case, you're getting Galopin Des Champs, Factifile, Hewitt, or else Galopin Des Champs, Factifile, Grange Clare West, or you can. I'm the lone gunman here. Factifile, Galopin Des Champs, Grange Clare West. There's your TriCast. I will throw a few shekels on that TriCast. Anyway, let's go to the Sunday. We'll do any other business before the end to see if there's any handicap lurkers the team have. Rachel Blackmore, a fascinating booking for Meeting of the Waters off a ridiculously low hurdles mark. More on that to come.
The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.